That's what I'm talking about, son. Get you some of that daggone pie.
Woo-hoo! Looky there. There's your bug-eyed big one right there.
Getting started. We're getting started.
Here's what I'm talking about. Gosh dang gorilla.
Let's go, baby. Straight meat. God, look at that biggin.
Hey everybody, welcome into the BAM Pod. This is your host, Big Ed, and on the line tonight, there's going to be some new things going on with the BAM Trail that's coming up, and we wanted to go out and there's going to be a kayak division, and we're going to be talking to a kayak guy tonight. We're going to be talking to Michael Bray. He's with the BAM Series Kayak Series. This is tough for me to say because I don't know the kayaks that well. So this is why I got him on here. I thought this is going to be a good topic we can talk about. We've been wanting to get some kayak people in here. We had Christine Fisher on, and now we're going to have Michael Bray. So Michael, welcome into the show, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk about what's going on, and I think we'll get some good info for anyone that may or may not kayak fish and that may want to get into the sport. So it'll be a good time tonight.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest topics I think we really have going on with this this new circuit. It's not kayak fishing is not new, but the circuit's going to be new. So we're gonna kind of be saying that when we're talking about it. So you're going to be now, if I get it right, you're going to be the tournament director going on this thing. So are you fishing these events?
I will not be fishing the events. I will be at every event. I'll be setting up an award ceremony. I'll be judging all the fish. I'll be making sure it's ran in a professional manner that makes sure that we highlight the anglers. I think coming into this with Mark, our main goal was to give you guys an opportunity at some media promotion that not only gives you guys the opportunity to grow, but gives you the opportunity to represent yourself, build a community, and build a platform for yourself. We want to make a foundation, and I'm hopefully going to be a part of that process and making sure you have the opportunity to do so.
Is this something that, with kayak fishing, I think there's so much emphasis put on, I will just call it traditional bass fishing, where people are in their boats, they're in their $70,000 boats, they're running around the lake. With kayak fishing, is there, I know it's very popular, is there, I guess, opportunities to really build a name, do you feel, going forward with kayak fishing?
Yeah, so I think there is. There's a lot of opportunity, not only just for the West Coast, but this goes from state to state. There's anglers all across the U.S. There's anglers that are fishing in world tournaments, world championships. So there is opportunity. You can get just as big of a following if you're fishing out of a kayak as you can out of a $90,000 bass cat. So the opportunity kind of comes down to how hard you're going to put in the work. Just like anything in life, if you're going to put the time in to grow your platform, you're going to build a brand, build your name. You can succeed. You can do well. Some of the most well-known guys in kayaking do come from the West Coast. And we put out a good product that can compete just as well as the guys that are fishing in boats on the West Coast that move back east. So, yeah, it's all about how hard you want to try, I guess.
Well, that kind of brings me, I've talked to a number of some of the top pros in the country, and they've talked a little bit about getting out in their kayaks. Mike Iaconelli's known for it. Randy Howell's known for it. There's some guys that are really kind of, I don't want to say progressing or going to leave their boats behind and go to kayaking, but they've been kayak fishing a little bit more. And one of the topics that kind of come up, and this is something is the fishability of them. And I've heard it said, to a point, it has made them better fishermen because they've learned how to make the lake smaller, make it not such a large thing where you're running 20 minutes that way, 20 minutes this way, 20 minutes this way, whatever, to get to these places to go fish. You got to learn the areas you're in. Do you find that to be true, even with today's day and age and the new boats and the new motors, the pedals, the everything else? Do you really find that to be true?
I think that's true to an extent. I mean, there's definitely always going to be progression in the kayak industry.
Mhm.
A lot of the major tournament trails still only use one motor, and some of them don't use any motors at all. But I mean, just the West Coast alone over the last couple of years, there's some trails that allow two motors, and guys can go 8 miles an hour nowadays. So it may not sound like as exciting as 80 miles an hour, but you can cover a lot more water than you used to be able to in the past.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you also have to kind of pick and choose wisely, because if you're going to make a 2 hour run across a lake or up a creek arm, you can get stuck up a creek without a paddle pretty quick and have to fish what you're able to. And I mean, that's kind of the nice point about kayaks too, is if you have a $200 kayak from Walmart, you can still compete just as well if you choose, you study well, you do your pre-fishing, you look at maps, you get your data, just like every other tournament trail. It all comes down to, I guess, not only your skill, but being able to use your resources well. And it's just a platform. The platform really doesn't make a fisherman, and it's the same as the boat side, really. But it does give you the opportunity to learn different tactics, learn how to slow down, learn how to cover water, and fish it well. And I think um, it does really give you an advantage to an extent where if you're in a boat, you might want to pick up and run every 20 minutes if you don't get a bite after 3 casts, but you really can't do that. And all honesty, you can't really do that in a lot of these big boat tournaments either, because a lot of times those 4 hours of traveling around the lake can eat up time just as much as moving around in a kayak, and eating up time that way as well. So you kind of have to pick and choose your poison, and there is a little bit of flexibility nowadays.
Okay, so what I kind of got out of that when you're saying is there is a little bit more to it now with kayak fishing compared to like maybe when you started. So you started in just a couple $100. You spent $200, $300 for a boat. Yeah, you get paddles, you had whatever, you get out there and start going. Nowadays they're creeping up there a little bit. I'm not saying they're, in that $70,000 range or anything, but they're definitely in that $7,000 range.
Yeah.
What's I don't want to say what's a good boat cost, but what does this sport really take? One, what does it take for you to get into it? Two, what does it take to be competitive as far as having it's hard to say, having enough gear, I guess, and everything else that you need to go out and bass with. I mean, I'm out there fishing, I've got 10 or 12 rods in the boat or whatever it is. Plus I've got, all this tackle. I've got just, my garage is basically in my boat, and I'm going to go out fishing. Is that possible for you to do?
It is possible. A lot of guys do have 10 to 12 rods that they take with them, and they'll look like a porcupine running down the lake, but they do have their gear that they need to compete. And you were pretty accurate. A lot of guys do have that $7,000 range kayak. Bare to the bones pedal drive nowadays is $2,500 to $3,500, even up to $5,000 just for the kayak alone. And it adds up pretty quick when you throw a couple lithium batteries in your boat or in your kayak. When you throw a trolling motor on there, an XI3, or if you're throwing a Newport vessels on the back, it adds up pretty quickly. And just like a boat where you bust out another 1,000, it might not be to that extent, just because it's a little more economical in other ways. You don't have to put gas in your kayak to make it run. You're able to a lot of times just throw it right in the back of your truck or on top of your car. Saves you a little bit in launch fees, and that's kind of why guys are also transitioning into it. It's an economical way to get on the water, to have that feeling of competition, get that community. Just like the boat community, the kayak community is very close. There's a little bit of competition and animosity, just like anything in life, but the kayakers are a good support system, and that's kind of what everyone builds off of. And why the industry is exploding in a way, because there's so many people coming into it, because it's just another thing that's positively progressing on its own with the right people and in the right places, you can continue to expand in ways that a lot of people didn't think were possible. And there are still going to be some barriers that we have to overcome. Kayak is a lot different than bass boats. You can't go into a kayak tournament thinking you're going to win 25 grand. But you can think about it as there could be a pro league one day. There could be opportunity for you to make a career out of it, just like Christine Fisher's doing. She's been on the show before. There's a lot of guys back east that are making it happen. And even on the West Coast, there's a few guys that are full-time fishermen because they had a passion and they promoted the sport, and it's growing in a way that allows you to keep going in a new direction.
Does this, the BAM Trail's coming up, and I'm not sure what it is it's is it a pro event that's going to be a part? Is this trail going to be a pro kayak trail?
So I think if you put pro on anything, it kind of gives it that understanding that you're going to have top of the line television shows, you're going to have top of the line gear, top of the line kayaks, and everything's going to have an expectation that you have to hit. I think what's special about our trail that we're trying to do is it's not a pro tour. It's a kayak series that we want to be held at the standards of a pro level event. With a pro event, there's going to be a lot of cost involved with the entry fees. There's going to be a lot of cost in the gear, the travel, everything that you kind of need nowadays to get that media coverage and the promotion to run a high quality event. But with with our kayak series, we want to allow it to be open to the guy that's just getting started. He might be 3 or 4 months in. They got a kayak, they're trying to figure it out, they're ready to sign up. And there are a lot of trails in California that cater to the new kayaker. We're catering to the kayakers that want to grow their reputation, that want to grow their brand, and also that want to get that experience on the water that is needed to compete in the truly high-end events that are nationwide at this point. And while we aren't going to jump right into anything that big right away because we're still building a foundation, there is going to be the opportunity to fish against some of the best guys in California, to get a payback that's definitely going to be worth talking about, and to get that media coverage that not very many people can provide. Having the magazine back us is huge. I mean, it goes to, I think it's like 25,000 people subscriptions just on paper. There's online subscriptions. So this is going to a lot of people. We're going to have the opportunity for our anglers to be written about, their story to be told. And the ones that do well and put the time to fish with us, we're going to make it rewarding for them. So, yeah, it's not going to be a pro circuit, but it's going to be held at a professional level for all the anglers that want to fish in it.
I like the way you put that. It's not a pro level because, like you say, I think at a pro level there is some expectations, but being a kayak series makes it a little bit more of, you're going to be held to the standards of a pro. Your attitude, how you're going to be on the water, the way you carry yourself, the way you present yourself to the public is going to be under scrutiny. But at the same time, financially, you're going to be a little less, I guess, pulled upon to open up your wallet and empty it out completely.
Yeah.
So you're looking a little more financially available. What's an entry fee normally going to be, you think?
So for general kayak circuits, starter circuits, it's generally going to be around $70. Some of them are a little bit less, some are a little bit more. That's a good starting price. For intermediate circuits and advanced circuits, we did a survey actually. And if there is an angler that didn't do that survey, feel free to fill out that kayak survey that Bass Angler Magazine put out. That's going to give us that advice and information that we need to build a trail that does cater for the angler's wants and needs. And I'm really big on supporting the angler and making sure that they have the platform that they want to be at and want to fish. And I've put my heart and soul into the work I did before, and I'll do the same thing again. But yeah, we're actually going to have our entry fees at $155.
Okay.
We want to make it economical, but again, we want to make sure if you win a kayak tournament with us, that you have a good paycheck to get. to cover some of your expenses for the season. Fishing's not a sport that you're going to make money in unless you really build your platform and build your reputation and have that backing to support you. But it's a sport that can be fueled by the way you perform and the way you compete. So we want to make sure that that's recognized. And then we want to have a no entry fee championship for this season. So that's going to cost a little bit of money. And while sponsors can help some, it does have to come out of the payout. So we want to make sure that we have enough to fulfill our promises, if that makes sense. I think that's one thing on the West Coast that people have some doubts about right now. And that's one thing that I can assure you that if I'm a part of it, that I will do everything in my power to make sure that it gets done.
Bass U, folks. Information is pouring over. If you want to learn more about every lake, how to fish, shallow, deep, in between, skipping docks and rocks and cranking, slow wiggling, chatter, smattering, you get it at Bass U. We got the best of the best. If somebody's ever caught a bass on something and perfected the technique, we got you covered. Get on Bass U TV, check it out, sign up, be a member, be part of it, folks. Keep learning. I'm Gerald Swindle. Subscribe to Bass U.
Good. I mean, and you're right. I mean, that's kind of been, it's a thorn right now. It's a thorn in the West Coast side that there was money put different places and done different things. I think in the long run, most people can agree that it was the idea behind it was a good one. It just was poorly executed. And I think that with yourself and Mark working on this, it should be executed in a better way, a more I guess angler friendly way, because that's a little bit about this is that both of yourself, you've done this kayak stuff, and and Mark has been an angler for a long time. So we're talking about this should be a really good event, run well. I'm not so familiar with them and what like what's a great payout or what's a you say that it's not a sport where you're going to get rich, and that's across the board. I don't care who you are. I've talked to James Watson. When I talk to him, it's always in my head. He has always put the one statement that has probably just hit me the most, in that he wakes up in the morning on January 1 and he's $70,000 in debt before he ever casts a line, and that's before he turns his lights on. That's before he takes a shower. No, doesn't turn nothing at home is paid. That's $70,000 in entry fees. This isn't a sport where that's a lot of winning you have to do. So leading to that in what you just said is that this format is going to allow you to spread your name and build your brand. How much is out there for kayak fishermen sponsor wise? We don't get, we have sponsors on the West Coast, and there's money out there to be made if you're an angler in general, if you know how to present yourself well. Ken Ma has been done very well with that and made a lot of money, and has decided to be an angler that makes good money, and he does it out here on the West Coast. Is there enough room in the market out here for kayak fishermen?
I think there is, and just like in the boat circuits, a lot of the money doesn't come from industry sponsors. It comes from those non-endemic sponsors. The kayak fishing is the same way. There are sponsors in the industry that are willing to help an angler out, and if they see the potential in you and you do your job to the best of your abilities, because having that or being an angler that does have sponsors, that does have a support system behind them, is kind of like a job. The way you present yourself at work is the way you're going to grow, the way you're going to get more opportunity in the future. And the same way, there's just lithium brands out there, Dakota Lithium. They work with kayak anglers just like they work with boats. Next Gen Lithium, they're coming out with kayak products. There's a lot of brands out there. I know anglers that are on the St. Croix team that are in a kayak, and I know anglers that are on the St. Croix team that are in a boat. So I think if you have the right connections, you're able to network with the right people. There is that opportunity. It does help to start that networking. And I think that's a lot of things that is lacking in the kayak community and even in the boat community. You may want to walk away with the sponsor, but if you don't do that groundwork to get to where those sponsors are going to talk to you. And I mean, I've been witnessed it myself. I'm 21 years old, but I've been able to go to ICAST twice. I've been able to go to ISE and connect one-on-one with these sponsors. And they still look at me like I'm just another kid that wants free stuff when I walk up to their booth at ICAST, because that's kind of what the industry's turned into nowadays, where instead of building a relationship, shaking hands, asking questions, wanting to truly understand the product and truly understand the investors, you just want to be invested in. You want that free stuff. You want rods. You want that 50% discount. But yeah, it's very important to work with that, and I've been able to learn that. And I've found that asking for less will get you more in the long run. And in the case that people do want sponsors, sometimes it's important to put yourself out there, and you do have to have that ask. But if you do the right steps to build the groundwork, it will come to you. And I think that's what's so nice about being a kayaker, boater. If you're in a paddleboard on a paddleboard fishing, there is that opportunity. You just have to go out and find it. And that's what's so cool about the guys that do well with those non-endemics. I mean, Dude Wipes has sponsored Gerald Swindle for how many years?
Yeah.
And that's all came from the right connection. So shaking that right hand and having the right conversations with the right person, it all come together. And yeah, I think there is a lot of possibility, and creating those platforms that we want to help you guys create on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok nowadays. If you do the work, it can come.
Now, what you're saying, how the way you said that, the way you said it is that you're basically this platform that you're building with the Basset, with the BAM tour, is going to be a place where guys can help themselves make their name. And I know that Mark's big on that. And I know that, it's like, hey, look, we're giving you an opportunity here. We're doing the work to build these relationships. Now do the work and make yourself a better angler. Not a better angler necessarily like fishing wise, but a better angler to present, to be that person that, you want the sponsorships, you want to make more money, you want to do this for a living. Get off your butt, get out there and go do it. We're giving you the platform. Is that the way that you really see this, and the way you want it to go, I should say?
I think it does highlight kind of what I'm saying. I think we want to promote it as a event that's well recognized, and that's going to do well in the market. The industry is already so saturated that there's quite a few events just on the West Coast alone that you can fish and you can have a fun time at, but you may not be able to get that recognition that we want to give you. A lot of times there's that opportunity where the guy that's willing to do those morning interviews at 5 a.m. before blast off, the guy that wears their jersey, the person that's willing to stand out in a crowd is the one that's going to get that recognition. And it's the same way in the boat world. I mean, the person that's going to talk on the microphone and represent themselves well, that's the one that gets a lot of that airtime, and the one that is able to get the most bang for their buck pretty much. And winning is a part of it, but we're hopeful we'll be able to do those morning interviews with anglers, get good quality photos, and a photo looks better when you have a jersey on. So there's those little things that you can do to make yourself stand out. And the guys that do that, the guys that ask questions on how to do that, I've told all the anglers that have fished with me in the past, I'm happy to help you build a resume, build a platform, answer questions that you may have. I mean, I'm still learning as I go, but I think I've been able to see some of the industry on the back end and see what they're looking for too. So I'm willing to help if the people ask.
And I think that's really all that can be done, is you can put it out there, and if they get a part of it, then they if they drink the Kool-Aid, come on in. You're going to be part of it. Let's talk a little bit about kayaks now. We talked a little earlier about, what they can cost now and where you can go with that. But, some of the questions out there really are, it's so hard, how can you sit there all day, and how can you be out in that weather, and how can you give me some of the, you've been doing it for a while. what are the things that you've learned, some of the things that you've seen and noticed compared to being in a boat, if it's raining, we're all getting wet. It don't matter. You can buy the best gear out there. That's great. Grundens makes some great stuff. I get it. But, you're going to be sitting down in a boat on this water. And I hear a lot, it's so much harder to fish out of a kayak. It's so much harder to be out on that big water. Clear Lake, we out here, we got Clear Lake, we got the Delta, those are big water. When that wind comes up, it's nasty. Being in a boat's nasty. Being out in a kayak, I can't even imagine it. Is that fiction or fact? I mean, is that really something that's just out there?
It's a challenge. I mean, for an example, last week they had the West Coast Championship where kayakers from all around the Pacific Northwest to California to Arizona, they all came down and competed. They fished on the California Delta. The first day there were 2.5 foot swells, and the wind was probably blowing 20 to 25 mile an hour gusts. If those guys are going to say that they didn't have a harder time fishing in that, I don't believe them, because I was just out there fun fishing and I was getting blown around. So it is going to be a competitive edge. You definitely get in your head a lot more when that wind's pushing you around and you're trying to cast at a rock pile, or that wind pushes your frog 5 feet the wrong way into the tulies. It could be a challenge for you, but I think that's kind of a challenge that everyone has to face in their own field, depending on if it's a bass boat. If you're looking to make a run and you've got to check your gas gauge to see if you're going to make it or figure out what your plan's going to be. It's all about how you prepare, and a lot of the kayak tournaments nowadays, and it's all about how you prepare. I mean, you can go to open launch formats, which we're considering, but or you can do single launch formats. And if you do have an open launch event, then the guys that look at a map, they scope out those places that are harder to get to, but you can get to faster, your spots faster. Those are the guys that might have a little bit of an advantage. If you have to run across 6 miles across the lake when there's a ramp a half a mile away, then that one's kind of on you. And that's kind of where it comes to figuring out the harder situations too. And the guys that have that information and do that groundwork are the ones that will be able to fight a lot of those issues. But the kayak industry has changed as well. It is hard to compete against a kayak with a 300 horsepower motor on it when you're paddling to get to your spot in the same wind. That's where it is just like the boating world. If you have live scope, if you have that equipment, you could do well, and you probably will have a little bit of advantage if you can use that equipment correctly. But on the flip side, I mean, everything in fishing is a game of chance. You can be around 10 pounders, but if you can't get them to bite, then what's the difference with the guy that's around 1 10-pounder that gets it on a hook? There's a lot of luck involved, and there's a lot of skill involved. And the anglers that do have the higher quality equipment that invest into the industry in the correct ways to give themselves the edge and advantage that they feel they need to compete, it can get that head game to change a little bit. I mean, I remember my first year fishing tournaments, I was pedaling to a spot probably 2 miles down the lake, and it took me probably 45 minutes to get there. And there was an angler. Everyone knows him, Mr. Obedy Williams. He showed up 15 minutes late, and that guy beat me to the spot before I got there. I was like, oh my gosh. And it is kind of frustrating when you're paddling your heart out and guys zip by you. But again, if you want to do well in any portion of the sport, you do have to invest a little bit too. And I'm still working on getting myself into a motor. And I think it's probably time to do that. Luckily, I'm more of on the directing side nowadays than the tournament side. But it's all about the investment you put into it and the strategy involved.
Now you're, how much does the particular boat that you get really matter as far as the one thing I haven't really heard you say a lot is like, do you stand up on your kayak? Do you how are you fishing off of it? I see some guys are always sitting down, and that's just the way they've become comfortable. Other guys are standing up, and they're fishing. I know, like Christine Fisher, she's known for being out on the front of that boat casting, and she, how she is. Is there specific boats that you look? I know you're with Native, so, but is there something out there that really these platforms, because guys are looking into this and maybe want to get a part of it? What do they need to buy?
Yeah, I actually had an interview with someone earlier about a magazine article, and he was telling me about just because he represents this brand doesn't mean that there's not 5 other brands that are creating another quality product for another type of angler. And I think that is one of the key parts with the kayak industry is I might be fishing in a Native, but I'm also fishing in a 10-foot Native because I'm only 140 pounds. I can make it work, and I can put it on my car. If you're a little bit bigger, you might need a little bit bigger of a kayak, something that can support you and what you want to do in that kayak. So Hobie makes a really good kayak. They have the Hobie PA14, PA12 in their Outback. That's a pretty popular kayak. Bonafide also creates a good kayak that's pretty good when you want to put a bow mount trolling motor on it. New Canoe has probably one of the flattest kayaks on the market, where if you want to stand up, that thing's like a barge and it's not going to tip over. But it's also a paddle kayak that you would generally put a motor on. So if you want to pedal, Native, Hobie, and Old Town are probably going to be one of the options that you're going to be going with, and one of the options that you'll probably see an angler on the West Coast in. That's not to be said that there aren't guys out there that are still fishing in a $500 kayak. They could be in a Lifetime Tamarack just like I was, and be perfectly content in it. And I think that's kind of where the time on the water goes in as well. If you're fishing one time a month, a $500 kayak might suffice. But if you're going to be out there a few times a week, filming YouTube or filming a television show, then you're probably going to want to be in a kayak that can support your needs. And a lot of them have the weight limits capacity as well. So say if you're going to want to run dual motors, you have an XI3 on the front, a Torpedo on the back, and then you have 4 lithium batteries in your boat. You're going to need a kayak that can hold all that weight. And that's one thing that the industry is kind of lacking on right now, and something that does need to be fixed in the future, because it does kind of put tournament trails and anglers at a little bit of a liability when the equipment doesn't fit the standards. And at the kayak industry especially is growing so fast that it is hard for some of the equipment to compete. It's probably going to be steadily doing that until we can get it to kind of decline a little bit. After COVID, sales in kayaks went up tremendously. Kayak shops were having $140,000 a month in California, and now kayak shops are starting to kind of taper down again. But the industry was really affected with the prices of plastic. A lot of companies started to go to cheaper materials, and just like Bass Cat, their top boats are over $100,000 now. The industry is going to continue to raise its prices, and not all the brands are going to get better quality product for that price. But yeah, there are a lot of good products out there. Native creates a good boat. They have their new Titan X coming out. That's someone that's probably going to be pretty popular in the community. Old Town creates an awesome product as well. And there's a lot of product, but you do have to do your research to make sure you get the right one for you.
For nearly 100 years, Grundens has built gear you can trust to keep you fishing no matter the weather conditions. With head-to-toe coverage of high-performance outerwear, sportswear, footwear, and much more, it's no wonder Grundens products are backed by some of the bass fishing's most prominent figures, such as Skeet Reese, Randall Tharp, Adrian Avina, and Jonathan Van Dam, just to name a few. Grundens. We are fishing.
Yeah. And in the middle of all of that, great information right there. There is something you said that kind of caught my, and that's YouTube. and how big that's really become with kayak fishing. There's a lot of people going out there and sitting in their kayaks, doing their thing, having it, because YOLO Tech basically makes something for all of that, to hold it and run it. And, you got lithium batteries now, you got all this stuff on there. Do you really see that as being a part of this upcoming series at all? As far as guys being able to, how do I say this without not that it's cheating in any way that they're filming themselves, but being able to go out and have those cameras on the boat at the same time. Do you see that as being any issues at all, first of all? And I guess second, is that going to be something positive?
I think any sort of press in the industry is positive. Press is press, and one way or another, it's going to get the word on the industry out there. And if it highlights bad things in the industry, then that forces them to fix it. If it highlights good things, then so be it, and it'll keep the industry growing. I think in the terms of we've had a lot of guys have had debates on flying drones out on tournament day, trying to get on the water footage of them because people think they're going to look for other guys on the water and then they're going to go fish in that spot if they're catching fish. And Tourney X, I mean, you can see as you're going how other anglers are doing until the standings get shut off generally. So that's a lot of things that you do have to fight. But I think I've kind of figured out at this point that if a cheater's going to cheat, then there's so much you can do to deter them. And you can create a role for every situation, but at the end of the day, their character is going to shine through that. And their character is going to be the person that has 20 friends around them after the day of fishing, or they're going to be the guys that drive home and just because they got a check, they may not have done it the right way or the way you think is right. They're going to do what they feel they need to do. And like I said, you can't be a policeman every second of the day.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, we're rewriting the set of rules right now for Bass Angler magazine. I've been trying to think about it using the information on the survey that we were provided. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of, some of the rules, you kind of just have to stick with them and do it how it's got to be done. Or sometimes too much information from the anglers is also just as negative as not enough. So, I think that's definitely going to impact the sport a little bit. But I also think if you go on YouTube and you see a guy that has their title Bass Angler Magazine Tournament Trail, first place finish, that's going to get a little bit of a draw for someone to click on it and watch it. Just like if you're watching How to Kayak 101, it's all a sport. It's all going to be positive in the end, I think. And I'm perfectly happy if guys continue to keep using YouTube and filming their days on the water, because guys film their days on the water in boat tournaments. And I mean, you've seen how much traffic Milliken probably gets on Instagram. The guy's racking in the views. And at the same time, everyone thought he was a YouTuber, but he might qualify for the Bassmaster Elites next year now. So YouTube might get a little bit of a stigma too, but at the end of the day, it is a positive and very strong tool in the industry.
Okay. I mean, that's just one of those things that's out there. People are, there's cameras on the water, and and there's cameras on the water everywhere. And I don't, for me, I don't see it as an issue, but it is something that I think people want to know about, and goods, bads, that sort of thing. And then going into, what's coming up with this whole circuit, what's coming up with this series, I should say, not circuit, but this series. What is it that, really makes this different for me is the fact that there's no big there's no big blast off, I want to say, because there's, that's not quite there. So you have that. What's the big draw for people to come out and see the kayaks? What's the, what is it that's going to get the local person off the couch to come out and watch that? And, or are there going to be ways for people to watch it if they can't make it out?
Yeah, I mean, the kayak industry, now that it's all catch photo release for the most part, that allows you, just like the Apex Pro Tour used to do, where guys were at home watching Tourney X. We've been doing that for years now. you can go pop up Tourney X on your phone, and you might be sitting at work and you'll see, wow, that guy has 99 inches already at 10 a.m. He's got a pretty good shot at winning. That's the one opportunity for the guy that wants to stay home and watch the show and or kind of be a part of the event. And that's still something that really isn't super big in team tournaments and in pro-am events, just because that's not really there yet on the West Coast. And we keep trying for these big pro events, and hopefully one of them will work out, and hopefully the pro tour that BAM's starting is successful as well. It does take time for a lot of it, and the kayak industry is a little bit behind. But I feel like the fishing industry as a whole is probably 5 to 10 years behind every other sporting event history on television. I mean, the U.S. Open for golf is probably more popular than the Bassmaster Classic. And I mean, rightfully so. They have a lot easier of an environment to film and produce in. And I think one thing without having the weigh-in that kayak anglers and community can draw to is we're still going to have an award ceremony. Just because we're not going to be weighing fish doesn't mean we're not going to be highlighting the winner. We'll still be having live streams going. We'll still have guys talking about their day, and some of the best advice does come from the guys once they know they've got that tournament in the bag, or they're right on the edge of their seat, because once those standings are shut off, you still don't know who's got it done, especially in a tournament that you can win a couple grand in, or some of these higher focal point tournaments. So there is still that anticipation. And I think with the media coverage, being able to do daily reports, being able to get that live footage out to, I think Bass Angler Magazine has 95,000 people on Facebook alone. So there will be a crowd that gets drawn, and I think once the name kind of spreads a little bit and we go to the communities that do appreciate the angler, there might be a little bit more support there. But again, the kayak community is very tight knit. So generally, if you have an award ceremony, almost everyone in the tournament that is going to be there to support and cheer them all on. And that's kind of the neat thing about it, is just because there's money on the line doesn't. Kayakers are very good at understanding that friendship and the value of camaraderie is just as important. So.
Yeah, and that's something that I've actually heard quite a bit when it comes to kayak fishing, is how close it really gets, how close knit the people become, how much, hey, I've made some great friends that I've had for life because of these circuits, because you kind of are out there. And I don't want to say that, in big boat fishing or, in big motor boats or whatever fishing that's not there, because it is. But I do hear what you're saying in the fact that, when you're out there on the water and you're in a boat that, has a small motor or no motor at all, and you're fishing, the elements are going, there's, all the things that can go wrong out there on the water. You really need to have a close knit group of people that are watching your back too, And I think you're right. It's important that you've said it a couple of times now, so I can see how much, it really makes a difference to growing this sport in the direction that, it's such a positive thing. We've both been a part of this sport for a while now, and it's watching it grow over the years has been crazy. It's had its peaks. I'm hoping they're not the complete peaks. I'm hoping there's still more to go. But I see where this kayak fishing is really kind of pushing that way, to where it's going to help grow even more some of the fishing that's done, because there's no techniques off the table for you guys, right? I mean, if you're out there, I see you throwing swim baits, I see you throwing frogs. I've never seen anything that limits what you can throw out there once you kind of learn how to do it.
Bass Angler Magazine is your guide to better bass fishing. Bass Angler is dedicated to helping you catch more and bigger bass no matter what time of year or where you live. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. Every issue is jam-packed with 30-plus articles from the world's best bass anglers. Bass Angler Magazine is available at bassanglermag.com, Tackle Warehouse, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, Gander Mountain, Walmart, and better tackle shops everywhere. Bass Angler also makes a great gift for any angler. Get Bass Angler today and start catching more bass tomorrow. Visit bassanglermag.com or your favorite tackle shop. This is not your ordinary fishing magazine. bassanglermag.com.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there's guys punching out of a kayak, and I mean, you'd be surprised how many kayakers are out catching lingcod and rockfish out at Timber Cove on the Sonoma coast out here. I mean, there's guys in around the nation out catching grouper in their kayaks. So, if you can dream it, you can kind of do it. And I mean, I don't know how many times I've been out kayaking in big water and stuff, and I've had guys tell me, "Man, you're crazy to be out there," but I mean, it's kind of how I figured out how to get on the water. And the community that fishes in a kayak, they've kind of all come to a consensus that there is safety protocols out for a reason. It's amazing how fast you'll see guys tell someone to put on a PFD if they see a picture on Facebook. And I mean, unfortunately, the industry has seen the consequences of unsafe protocols, and I think that's why it's such a fine line with a lot of these rules nowadays as well. Because if you allow two motors in their kayaks overweight, then that's a major liability on the tournament organization. Because if they get hurt, it could be just as bad, and put a damper in a lot of people's eyes and something that we're trying to grow. It's just like everything in life. Every time there's one positive or three, you can have three positives going at one time, and then that one negative is just going to set the whole industry back. And it's pretty evident right now at how easy that is to happen. So the industry is always progressing, but at the same time, it can digress just as fast, and that's where the importance of all the protocols do come in.
You know, we've kind of got in and we're talking about this thing, and it's I want to I don't know how to kind of segue into, you know, the next positive things that we're going into this kayaks, and you know where we go from here. The West Coast, I guess, let's just say that the West Coast has kind of been, I don't want the forefront of kayak fishing, right? And now it seems like we're almost towards the back of it when it comes to actual tournaments and fishing it and being a part of this. Like, it seems like, oh man, kayaks just blew up out here, and then all of a sudden we're in the back. What's going to push us forward? What's going to keep us growing? Because other states, other places have really done. Is there something here that really needs to happen with this whole thing to make these kayaks grow?
I think that's kind of where industry comes in. And I mean, honestly, it's kind of unfortunate, but just like an angler trying to make a career in the industry nowadays, or someone that wants to work in the industry, a lot of it happens back east. That's where all the big sales are. That's where all the numbers are. Just like you see a bass boat every block in Arkansas, and you see one every two streets in California. It's just not at the same level, unfortunately, in the same playing field. A lot of those odds, like getting sponsorships, it's hard on the West Coast because there's so many talented anglers back here east that are in the face of all these industry and market and sponsors on a daily basis, when we're unfortunately kind of harder to see. And it's kind of hard to shine through when there is all that competition there too. But I think it can be done. And I think we have a good opportunity to make it happen, just because it's a national publication. It allows us to utilize and show not only the anglers, but the bodies of water that we're going to be fishing with this tournament trail. Yeah, I'm excited. I think the next steps for kayak fishing is going to be truly, instead of turning it into from a recreational activity, it's going to turn into an activity that is economical for the fisherman that wants to make a career out of it. Or it's going to get to that next step eventually. I hope I'll be a part of it, and I hope that the West Coast is able to continue to propel. I think a lot of the issues on the West Coast And I'm probably not the first person to say this, and it's probably not said often, but there's a lot of drama on the West Coast, not only between organizations, between fishermen, and social media highlights that. It's pretty unfortunate, but you're going to see the negatives a lot more often than you'll see the positives. And I think that's what we needs to change. We need to figure out how to highlight the angler instead of the issues. And once we can figure that out, and people stop looking at the West Coast and California as a bunch of drama queens that aren't sure if they're out there to fish or have a photo shoot, then we'll get a little bit closer to making it more economical. And hopefully that'll happen sooner rather than later.
It's funny. That's an angle that I really haven't seen that much, or heard that much. I shouldn't say not seen, but I haven't heard that much. That everything out here is we put it on our phones, we put it on our videos. We emphasize, like you said, we emphasize the negative, we emphasize the positive, whatever it is, but it's always got to be in front of a camera. It's almost like if I didn't see it, then it didn't happen. You didn't catch this, or you didn't catch that if I don't have a picture. When you're out there and you're kayak fishing, some of the things you talk about out there being so, I guess, open to everything at that point. I mean, you're seeing boats with zip by you, and they're doing their fishing, you're doing your fishing, and I guess the question in this is, how do we change that? How do I say that? It's kind of a hard one. It's like, how do you change that mentality of everything's got to be visualized or it didn't happen, and at the same time feel like you're still trying to grow things by dropping that drama queen attitude?
That's a tough question to answer. I think that's probably why it hasn't happened. If it was an easy fix, it probably wouldn't be an issue right now. Mm-hmm. I think if we can all figure out that we're fighting the fish and not the fishermen, then it would probably be a lot more simple. And that starts from the tournament directors, and it starts with the anglers. I mean, we were at the Jamboree this year, and there was a little bit of animosity between everybody, like there always is. But at the same time, I really saw that there's a bigger picture that everyone's trying to push for too, and that's they want the anglers to succeed. There's a lot of questions in the fishing industry on how to make something work when it doesn't seem economical at the time, and it is a lot easier to spend money than make money in the industry. And sometimes you spend too much money trying to make something work that it all falls to pieces, and then all that positive that you built up just looks negative at the end. So I think the best thing I can say for that is the people that take the chances, the ones that try to make a change, are probably the ones that are going to make it happen. It might not be the first person, but if the 30th person to make something change, maybe that's the one that's going to be seen. It's not going to be easy. Nothing in the fishing industry ever is. And especially on the West Coast, it gets about 10 times harder. It's a lot more expensive out here. It's a lot. It's just a lot. And right. I think, I don't know. That's the best I can say. Strive for change, and hopefully some of it will stick.
Good. It's a good answer. I mean, it's not easy, and things will change when they change. Yes, but we're coming up here. We got about 10 minutes left. Michael's been on here talking, and I want to give you a little bit of time to kind of, first of all, let's talk about yourself a little bit, and what you've done in this sport. What kind of, everything you've said right now, what makes everybody say, oh, maybe I should listen to this guy? You've been out there, you've been with some of these tournament circuits. Talk a little bit about who you are and what you've come from.
Okay. Well, basically I'm just an angler that's looking to preserve and promote the industry in a positive manner. I find enjoyment in seeing the difference that it can make in people's lives, and the positive impact that it can bring a person when they do well, they try hard in the industry, and when they try and push it forward instead of holding it back. I've been able to work with Apex Pro Tour. I was able to work with Wild West. I met a lot of the West Coast guys through that opportunity. A lot of people don't know it, but I didn't even get into bass fishing seriously until after high school. My dad got me a kayak after I graduated high school, and a $200 Walmart kayak got me into my first tournament when it popped up on Facebook. I met the right people. They included me with that community aspect that I've been talking about. I mean, I showed up to my tournament at the Bruce's Marina. There were 20-mile-an-hour winds. I think I caught 2 fish. I learned what a wacky rig was that night from one of the guys. And then after the tournament, they invited me over. We cooked on the barbecue. We listened to music, and they listened to my story, and I listened to them. Got a lot of information from them, and it kept me connected. That's kind of what I want to keep striving. I think it's pretty evident in the West Coast that there is a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of opportunity for anybody. I mean, I got in touch with the right people, and I was able to just keep networking little by little. They asked me if I knew who Greg Blanchard was, and I had no idea. He was standing 5 feet from me, and he's probably the most well-known kayaker in the industry. I mean, just like when I first started with Wild West, I heard names like Ken Ma, and I'd heard names like John Pearl. Yeah, there were a lot of guys. I didn't even know who a lot of them were. I met Cody Myers, and I was like, who's that guy? And then I met Jared Lintner at my first Apex tournament I helped ran, and he asked me a question, and I was like, I have no idea. I think I made this guy mad at me. And then I was like, you made Jared mad at you? You know who that is? I was like, oops. Hopefully they all like me now. And I mean, just like them, I had to work for it. I had to put my time in. I was looked at the kid that carried the ice for everybody, and the kid that started at the bottom and had to work my way to the top and I'm still working my way. I'm nowhere near the top. There's guys that have been in this for 25 years, but at least I have the respect from the anglers now because I took that time at the ground level. And I think I've seen enough of the negatives in the industry to see how I can make it positive now. And I just want to make that for everybody. I mean, luckily I was able to go to Simpson University. Now I'm a college angler. I'm able to go to Dardanelle in October in Arkansas. And I mean, I would have never been able to do that if I didn't join a kayak tournament one day off of Facebook. So I think everything happens for a reason, and this industry figures out a way to work itself out. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that. Like I said, if anyone has questions, reach out to me. I'm an open book if it means I can help someone else progress themselves a little bit further. I've sent people my resume to look at if they want to see what something looks like, and I'm still learning as I go. I've been able to talk to guys that have a lot more information than me, and I've been able to share that information with other people. But if there's someone in high school or middle school or a 7th grader that wants to get into fishing and they don't know how to, luckily there's resources out there, and Bass Angler Magazine, Western Bass. There's so many platforms to get your foot in the door now and get connected. And especially if you are into kayak fishing or tournament fishing in general and you want to get into it more, feel free to reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Michael Bray Fishing. Join the Bass Angler Magazine Facebook group for the kayak series. Just reach out. Don't let anything hold you back. You don't get a whole lot of time in this industry and life to make wrong and right decisions in general. So start early. Start making those choices. Figure out how to get connected. If you want to go to college for fishing, you can literally become a kayak angler at Auburn University now and get a scholarship just to be in the kayak side of it. So there's a lot of ways to get connected and get involved. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a walking encyclopedia, but if I can point someone in the way to figure out how to catch a few more fish or figure out how to get outside, then I'm willing to do so and help. yeah, I've made just as many mistakes in the industry. Probably should have had more conversations, but you learn as you go. You're going to figure it out one way or another, if it's the wrong way or the right way, and then you just grow from it. And we're all growing at the same time. So let's just get a more positive outlook together.
Yeah. Well, good, man. And that's, I've been in this business a while. I've done the same thing. I've taken advantage of a lot of opportunities I've been given. And just like you, I think this goes forward. And I love taking people out and teaching them how to fish or showing them how to do something or anything they've wanted to do in the past. It's like, yeah, let me, hey, I want to learn how to throw a bait caster. It's like, let me do that let me show you that. Let me show you this. Let me show you how to set things up, and I get that part of it. So hearing the way you're talking about it, I love that. I love that this circuit's going on. It's going to be, you're going to be out there. You're going to be helping run this thing. You're guiding it the right way. Yeah, I mean, you've got all your information. I think you got most of your information out there for where people can follow you and find you and be a part of this Bass Angler Magazine tour coming up, or this, sorry, I don't want to say tour, I want to say kayak series coming up. I want to make sure I get it right, because it really does make a difference how you say it or how people envision it. And the way that you talked about it tonight and the way that you have pushed it in the right direction, I think it's so positive, and I think you're the right man for the job. And thanks for coming on, man. I know we're gonna wrap it up, but I appreciate your information. I appreciate the way you have a love for the sport, and this should be a good event coming up. And I'm glad you're going to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here, and happy to have the opportunity to hopefully influence someone to follow a passion and find their foundation in the sport. So yeah, join us. Make sure you guys come out and fish the series if you're on edge. We chose some awesome lakes, from Toll Lake to Trinity to the Delta. And we made it in some optimal times of year that put the angler safety ahead of everything else in the sport. We want to make sure that the anglers are treated correctly. We want to make sure that they have the platform to do it, and hopefully we'll be able to give you that. So we hope to see you there. Is
that schedule up somewhere for people to look at?
Yes, it is. Bass Angler Magazine has it on their Facebook page. I believe it's on the website. It's on the Facebook group for the kayak series, but it's from March to September. It doesn't conflict with any other kayak dates in California. It's pretty much well-rounded around all the big boat circuit events. So we did it so any guy from a boater that has a kayak or a kayaker that wants to get in a boat can fish. So there's opportunity and there's a way to get involved, and we hope that you guys come and join us and be a part of it.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for being here, Michael. I really appreciate that. Everybody out there listening, thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned a lot about what's coming up. So maybe get over some of the stigma of kayak fishing. It's so growing, and there's so many people that I've talked to, like Michael, like Christine, just there's a ton of guys out there doing this stuff, and they're doing the kayaks, and it's really a growing part of it. It's going to be a big part of BAM in the future. I hope you want to, if you're interested and you want to try it, come out and try it. You got to get into it, because it's just looking too many fun. There's some big names out there. I mean, like I said, Mike Iaconelli's out there now. Howell's out there now. All these guys. So yeah, it's obviously growing in a way that it's going to be a positive for the sport. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back in a couple weeks and talking to another great pro out there and another great angler out there. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next show.